My little pony, my little pony.
I've already done this bit. There's nothing else to do. What am I gonna... I've run out of things to do during the theme song. I've tried being crazy. I've tried making stupid faces. I've tried singing along happily. I always talk about how much I hate it. Maybe I could mix it up and say I love it. I love this theme song! It's so good.
What did you just watch?
I just watched an extremely beautiful and extremely sad episode of My Little Pony. Oh man. That was something else, guys. Tell you what. Whew. Oh!
Episode 13.
Season 7.
The perfect pair from My Little Pony.
The one with Applejack's parents.
The episode detailing the events of, I guess, what happened to Applejack, Big Mac, and Apple Bloom's parents, as far as like how they came together and everything. You still don't know exactly what happened to them. It's kind of implied that they died. But yeah, I thought it was a really good episode. It was great.
Another episode of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, which just completely wrecked me.
My Little Pony Friendship is sad.
I knew Shatner was in it and I knew it was about the Apple family. But wow, I wasn't ready for that. That was really sad and good.
What were your overall thoughts on the episode?
Okay, well, it was good. That's just like thing number one.
Well, it's about time that we saw an episode like this, and I feel like it lived up to the type of episode that it should have been.
You can really tell they went all out with this one. We've got special guests, a song, and of course there's the fact that we saw Applejack's parents. I mean, how cool is that? Other than the fact that, you know, they're kind of dead.
It was a really good episode for, you know, the throwback, a little bit of history.
I thought it was pretty good.
It's cool to see that with Applejack we get to learn about her parents.
I enjoyed that they finally addressed this topic and gave it justice.
It did world building. It did there was a lot that happened in this episode. I'm very happy that this episode finally happened.
Obviously an emotional episode. Very heavy episode.
I thought it was really nice to see them finally tackle that in some sense.
This was a heck of an episode and well done.
But they got as close as I think they could without just outright saying it.
It gets at the heart of things. It's surprisingly adult for such a young audience. And it really carries emotion.
And you know, the point where the tears in the eyes of Burned Oak. Did I get his name right? I usually just make up funny names that are close, but I think I got his name right, Burned Oak. Yeah, it was really good and sad and beautiful, especially at the end with the trees.
But they finally address it, and they do it with tact and grace, and they don't shove anything in your face. They leave things for you to sort of like assume. Like, they never outright say Applejack's parents are dead, but they don't need to. They knew they didn't need to.
I mean, it's sometimes it's hardships like that at the beginning of relationships that really show which ones are gonna last.
I think telling the story by having the family go around town and talking to these different ponies that knew their parents was a really smart thing to do, and having these different like flashbacks and everything, that was really great. And also the song was amazing. I love the song. It was really fantastic.
That was a good episode. That was a heavy episode.
Wow. I just think about these touching family things. I don't know what it is. Like, things about family members like passing or something like that is just a trope that will always get me, or seeing someone succeed when you want them to succeed, or like seeing them make up, or just seeing like this such a sweet pure thing that I hate it when it gets to me.
What did you like about the episode?
Well, I liked the new characters. I liked the reincorporation of older characters, like characters we know have been around Ponyville for a long time.
The whole story was real good. The voice acting was real good.
Storyline, I liked the fact that there was not a lot of cheesiness, surprisingly devoid of cheesiness.
I know they had a lot of new people in this episode, but it was solid.
Beautiful story. You know, interesting to see the bias there. I didn't know apples and pears were like
polar opposites with a rivalry, but I can see it, I guess. Very Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to put into words. I just like how everything works together so well. The show could never outright tell us that their parents are dead, but making it a Romeo and Juliet story, that's kind of genius.
The world building. I really like world building. World building done right. That, like, especially the fact that it addresses things that we knew already existed.
It was just so cool to see the parents. I mean, I know that's obvious, but to see where Applejack comes from and to see, you know, this background. Obviously, Big Mac knew their parents better than the three because he would have been the oldest.
There were a lot of characters who were involved in the past with the Apple parents.
I definitely liked the song the most out of the episode, probably. And I do like the addition of Grandpair. William Shatner was actually pretty good. And I didn't realize it was him to begin with until I started like realizing that sounds familiar. It sounds like a familiar voice.
I liked how it was an emotional episode.
Yeah, I liked the song. I liked Grandpair as a character. I liked the parents, their little love story, which is basically like a Romeo and Juliet type of thing. But it works for what the show is. So I definitely like that about it.
The character designs, that was fun.
Honestly, I think season 7 has been really like good so far. Like everything about season 7 was just on point, great. Well, most episodes, I will say the majority of it.
Here we got to walk with these characters through their lives. And even though we knew the end goal, even though we knew that they married and had children, it felt good to get to know them and celebrate their growing closer and the courage they showed.
Oh man, there's also that episode when it's referenced by Applejack saying, you know, Mom and Dad would be so proud. Man, there's a lot in there. It's a very emotional episode, very well done.
And I also appreciate how much it involved second-tier characters, including Mrs. Cake and Mayor.
I thought they did a fantastic job.
And of course, Shatner. I loved that. And they gave him a perfect role too.
The problem is that I don't know what to comment on, not because there's not much to say that I like, but because all of it is just good things. They presented a good story.
What did you dislike about the episode?
There wasn't much I disliked. If I'm gonna nitpick, I would say I didn't like the rivalry. They didn't really explain why it was there, and I know rivalries don't always make sense. In fact, I would say rarely are they logical.
Really, the only thing I could say I disliked is the fact that the Romeo and Juliet story is kind of stale at this point. But like I said earlier, I think it fits really well here, and I like the show's take on it.
It's only because the question's brought up of what do we dislike that I typically look for something like, okay, is there anything I would have tweaked or anything? I can't find anything.
Nothing. I thought it was great. There's nothing I can really critique about the episode. That was perfect. It's my dog Lammy. Hey, what did you like about the episode?
It was well done on all accounts. The song was good. The voice acting, the story, the animation, of course. It was all there. Everything lined up on this episode. This was a good episode.
The only thing that's remotely coming to my head when I think of things that I didn't like about the episode is it's an Applejack episode. I don't like Applejack as much as I like other characters in the show, but that's hardly a reason to dock points.
There's not really a lot to dislike about this episode. It's probably one of the best of the series. And I do really mean that because it was written very well. It had a lot of great points in it. So I don't really have anything to dislike about it.
I don't know!
If there is a negative to this, it's that kind of critical of the other ponies for waiting this long. Big Mac is pretty much an adult now. He's on the road to perhaps starting a family of his own. Applejack is on the cusp of that maturity, and Apple Bloom has gone through the pony version of puberty. I think the other ponies waited a very long time to explain this very important part of their lives. But that is just... That's a point so small in the grand scheme that it doesn't spoil the episode for me.
I don't really like crazy grandma Pear woman, and I think that's just because all I can hear is Peter knew.
I guess it was weird that the kids, when they were kids, they were talking even though they looked like the baby cakes. I guess.
I still have questions, but in the time allotted, there's just not that time to get those answers. So that's not something I'll fault on the episode, but it just, I still wonder about, who is Bright Macintosh's father, who, what happened to the parents, which we might never get that answer. And that's more of like one of those like respect things. Like you never want to ask someone like, oh, what happened? What surprised you?
It's hard to surprise me. The show actually is so unpredictable at times.
While I say that it's about time we have an episode like this, it's still surprising to see it. It's still surprising to see like, oh man.
The fact that we got this episode. The fact that if we the fact that we got an Applejack Parents episode, are you kidding me? Of course it's surprising, because Hasbro at the end of the day just wants to say, we're getting money from the Pony Show. Shit out a bunch of episodes. But here they are, legitimately here's an episode you've all wanted.
I think getting an episode dedicated to Applejack's parents is about as surprising as it gets.
As crazy. That's cool. Yay, we got the Applejack Parents episode.
It definitely surprised me that the character that William Shatner voiced, again, was Grandpear. Because I think a lot of people were expecting him to voice somebody else, but not, a member of the Apple family, of all things. So, that's interesting. It also surprised me just how good the song was. It sounded really incredible. It's probably in my top 3 favorite songs of the series. So, yeah, that surprised me.
I was surprised that I didn't recognize William Shatner's voice. That's kind of a funny thing to say, but I didn't realize it till the very end. I was like, oh yeah, this is the William Shatner episode.
Also, I guess the baby's talking. I guess. That was weird.
Really sweet. The surprise wedding, that was really sweet. And then the trees at the end. The pear and the apple tree growing together with the heart. And it's almost like their souls went into the trees. Oh, that was really sweet. Really, really sweet and sad. Just beautiful. I love that.
Season 7 has been so good, and it's awesome. It's great, because back when the premiere came out, while it was a different type of premiere, some of us were wondering how is the season gonna go? But man, the episodes within this season have been phenomenal.
And it's really touching to see what they did with characters who actually lost their folks and stuff like that. That is just so touching, and this
is obviously a very emotional episode, and it's surprising. It's surprising to me in a good way that they're still able to evoke these emotions in us after 7 seasons. This series has not taken a downturn like a lot of. I mean, think about that. 7 seasons this has been going on. That's what surprises me, is that we're in season 7 and we're still talking about episodes holy cow, can you believe it?
Great job. Clap.
Good work, DHX. Good work. Overall, how would you rate the episode?
I was thinking 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I gotta give this one a 9 out of 10. Easily one of the most memorable episodes of the show.
But considering the fact that this episode exists at all, I think there's a lot of merit in the fact that they did an Applejack Parents episode. There's a ton of merit in the fact that this episode even exists, period. And I gotta give props to the fact that not only was it a good episode, but it happened. We actually got the Applejack Parents episode we've been asking for since season 3 or whatever. Maybe even earlier. So I gotta say, a 10, I guess. I don't know. I can't think of any real reason to say this isn't a 10.
I give it a solid 10. I mean, as far as My Little Pony episodes go, it's one of the best ones ever made.
This is as close to a perfect episode as I can point towards.
10. I'm giving it a 10. I can't think of anything that I would have done differently or something that I would have wanted differently. I'm gonna just straight up give this episode a 10.
My favorite episode from this season, I'd say it's this one. Absolutely.
I'm dumbfounding myself. I feel crazy giving something a 10. I never give 10s.
9.5 out of 10. Saying 10 out of 10 implies that it's perfect. Perfect. And I don't believe anything's perfect. And even if I didn't have anything that I hated about it, I can't make something perfect in my mind because that implies that I know that it is as good as it could have been. And I'm sure there are other things that could have made it better, even if I can't pinpoint them. So you all can hate me if you want to, but I gave it a 9.5 out of 10.
For the type of episode that it is, it delivered on all fronts. It answered a lot of questions that we've had, and it was cool. It was cool. So I'm giving this a 10. It's been, I don't know if I've ever given an episode a 10. I don't know if I'd say it's my favorite episode of all time, but it's definitely one of the best episodes, I think, of the entire My Little Pony existence.
The perfect pair was darn near perfect.
It's really hard for me to think of anything wrong with this episode, so because I've seen it about like 3 times now, and I would say this is probably like a 10 out of 10 episode. It's really good, and Applejack isn't even like my favorite main 6. It's not even, she's not even like in like my top 3. So it's yeah, it's a 10 out of 10 episode. So yeah, good job, writers. You've been really good this season.
I'm just the episode that this episode happened at all.
Finally, after all these years, Applejack. Blah, blah, blah.
Oh, alright. Another Bronies React. Another episode of me pretending to walk to my desk even though I don't need to.
I almost choked on my own hangy thingy in my throat. She's gonna make.
I'm looking at the lyrics on the My Little Pony Wikia page, and they have the reprise that's sung over the credits. And it's just, My Little Pony, My Little Pony, My Little Pony, ellipses, friends.
Mickey Mouse! You just ruined my day.
They're biscuits.
Mickey Mouse pancakes! Bitch skits.
Wait, how did she draw that?
Is this the same setup as Epic Cupcake time? Yep. Is it? Is this the same setup as This is hard to say. Is this this?
How did she draw that with a hoof? Come on, really?
Is this? Why is this so hard? What am I struggling with? Is this the same? Is this the same setup as Epic Cupcake Time? I liked that. I got through it, but I didn't like how I said it. Is this the same setup as Epic Cupcake? Fuck! Is this the same setup as God damn it.
No, the first take was good! You don't need to do a second take! Stop doing a second take! Ah!
Big Mac, get the gun! You alright? You alright?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did that get you crying almost? See, I knew I'd make you cry during this episode.
I guess I know it's going in the bonus.